that explains it. Why we were all sitting there, and I was like, no one is here, and the meeting's about to start. And even Brian's not here, and he records it.
We got everything figured out while you were away, Tammy, so we're all set.
Oh, excellent. Now we don't have to do anything then. That's okie dokie. Well, we're good. We have a quorum. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think we're good to start, right?
Yep. Yes.
Okay. So we will call the meeting to order at 7:01. And are there any changes to the agenda? Hearing none. I need a motion to approve the minutes from May 20th, please.
So moved.
Thank you, George. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, BJ. Is there any discussion, any corrections, changes? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the minutes of May 20th, subject to any corrections, please say aye. And if we're unanimous, we don't have to do a roll call. So raise your hand. Let me see. Everyone's good? Thumbs up. Raise your hand. I think we're good. Okay. So anyone opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you, Anne, for finding that for us. Thank you. Thank you. Are there any public input? No?
No public input?
Okay. I have one announcement that I'd like to share with everybody, is that we can congratulate our superintendent because he has been honored by the Vermont Superintendents Association with the Frank Tuttle Superintendent of the Year Award, which was just presented to him. He just got the plaque. I'm sure he'd be happy to share a picture of it with everybody. But it's a great honor. We're very proud that he's our superintendent that got chosen for this award. So congratulations, Dave.
Thank you, Tammy.
Congrats.
A round of applause.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Can we all mute our microphones? Because I'm getting sound from somebody and I don't know who.
I don't know if I can do that. How do we do that? I do that right.
Yeah, good. Excellent. Okay. So we're going to go to item 5, which is Stan, which is the tax anticipation note. So Stan, you're up.
Oops. Good evening. I've worked with People's Bank, which is our appointed bank, and getting a short-term line of credit for next year. We asked for a $3.6 million line of credit, which they will extend to us at a rate of 1.9%. So I was looking for the board to adopt a resolution accepting the line of credit at 3.6 million and also designating the treasurer Denise Patch and the business manager myself to be the authorized representatives to ask for advances on that line of credit.
Okay. Will
So
someone
moved.
make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Adrian. And who will
Doug,
second it?
Doug will second.
Great. Thank you, Doug. Any discussion on this? I just want to say, Stan, excellent work. Thank you. It's a wonderful interest rate. And anybody,
It's
yeah.
wonderful to
Andy,
have money.
yeah. Okay, so all those in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand. Thumbs up. Anyone opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. And then Dave, will come to you. You have some post-COVID reopening planning update for us.
Yes, thank you. Just wanted to give the group an update. Hello, everybody, first of all. And just an update on where we are with planning for likely / potential reopen in the fall. There's still so much unknown, and the biggest variable is just what the health guidelines and protocols that we have to follow are going to be. And I guess that's where I'd like to start is there's still a lot of work occurring at the state level between some of the major associations, the Superintendent Association, Principals Association, the State School Nurses Association, and the Vermont Department of Health to try to move the ball down the field in terms of giving schools very clear guidelines in terms of what we need to design around. So I think in the next couple of weeks, we'll see something land with that. But obviously, we can't just sit around and wait for a couple of weeks for that to occur. So our folks have been planning diligently for about 5 weeks, and they handed off their work to me on Monday, and I'm collating the work of all of our internal work groups into a draft reopening plan. Right now, it's at about 63 pages, just to give you some context on the scope of what we're dealing with. And this is designed to be the most restrictive environment that we can imagine, so that we can loosen up, as circumstances allow us to, or as we need to. Where I am in that process is I'm going to be working with union leadership to look at some of the specific employee dynamics and make sure that there aren't any glaring glitches or issues there. And I'll be prepared at our next board meeting to kind of walk through that plan with you. I do hope to share that with you at least 4, 5, 6 days ahead of the board meeting, just so you have some time to digest it before we get together, and then we'll just work through it. Of course, that will not be a finished product when we, even at that point, we'll be far from finished product. But it'll be our best thinking at this moment in time. So ultimately, I want you to know that we're working hard. We're trying to be wise and strategic as we look ahead, but we don't know where this road ends, or when or how it ends. So we're plugging ahead. I'd be happy to take any questions about that if you like.
George
Question.
has a question.
Yeah, is there any, have you worked out any plans if we have to do the same kind of long distance learning, or?
Yeah, George, that's one of the fundamental principles we're thinking about. Is basically we've taken the approach of, obviously we need to design for if we can have in-person school with everybody there, but what are the protocols that need to be in place to make that happen? Then we need to be prepared on a dime to switch to the environment we're in now, not knowing when there could be a resurgence, or whether there'd be an isolated case in one building or, statewide. We need to be prepared to turn on a dime. And then we're also working on what we're just kind of calling a hybrid version of that, which is the likelihood, and I think this is probably the most likely scenario, where we can have some students in schools for in-person instruction, while some students are not in schools and they're doing remote learning, and everybody's on somewhat of a schedule, and we're managing things that way because of the space restrictions and the need to keep people social distanced. So we're working through all those what ifs to think about those 3 different scenarios and kind of lay that out as a draft idea for right now.
Any other questions? Comments? I know that Tyler's here. Maybe Tyler could just jump in and give us an overview of what's going on next week for graduation. I know you've been sending some stuff to us via email, but I think maybe there might be some questions.
Sure, no problem at all. So graduation for this year is going to be a virtual ceremony, so a recorded video with our students participating in some different formats, musical performances, speeches, and then also a tassel turn when their name is read for quote unquote receiving their diploma. So that will be ready to go. Brian Farnham is our editor at large. He's the one putting it all together for us, and that will go out on Facebook, YouTube, our website, and then also PEG TV, but PEG TV is not going to be exactly on time as we have to get that video to them and find out what their schedule is. But that is going to go out on June 10th, no later than 5 p.m. So normally their ceremony will be at 6. So no later than 5, that will go up, and I will put an email out to the community once that does. Also, this coming Monday and Tuesday, so the 8th and 9th, our seniors are going to be able to come to Mill River, not go in the building, but stay outside and return any property they have that they need to return to Mill River, and also pick up their diploma. We've created some pretty strict parameters for these students to come in and do that. Only the students allowed out of their car and what have you. And then after they pick up their diploma, Brian Farm's going to be there as well to take a picture of them. And hopefully the students were encouraged to wear the regalia and their cap and gown and everything. And they'll take a picture in front of the main entrance of Mill River. And that's something we'll mail to them at a later date. Also, last night on WCAX, they ran a graduation stream, if you will, with a speech by our senior class advisors. And Luke, the dog, was on the speech as well. So that was nice to see that that's something WCAX reached out to us about. You may have seen, I think last week or the week before, signs of all our seniors at Alderman's, and that was something a parent group put together. So every senior is getting that sign as well. And then also we put together with VSAC a sign that says it's a lawn sign that says a Mill River Union High School graduate lives here, and they'll be picking that up along with their diploma next week.
Very good. Anyone have any questions or comments or anything for Tyler?
Just want to
George.
compliment
Go ahead.
Tyler on a job well done, and it's nice to see that we're doing quite a bit of recognition. Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, I
Appreciate it.
wanted to say the same. I mean, I think that the effort being made is huge, and it's nice to see.
They deserve it.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for doing all those different things for them. It's making it as special as it can be under the circumstances that can't be routine. So
Thank you.
good. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to committee reports. So we'll start with Len for personnel.
Hi there. We did have a personnel committee meeting a little earlier today, and there is some board action requested. So I would like to make a motion that we approve a one-year teacher contract for Louis Castonguay, who will be covering for Kristen Simonetti, who, by the way, has received a Roland Foundation Fellowship, which is pretty impressive in and of itself. So she's basically, it's not really a sabbatical, but she'll be working very diligently with the Roland Foundation next year. So Lois will be taking her place.
Excellent. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll
Adrian
second.
will second. George? Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the contract for Lois for next school year for K-12 music, please say aye. Raise your thumbs. Excellent. Are we unanimous? Yes.
Aye.
Okay. Anyone opposed? Okay. We are unanimous. Thank you.
And then
Go ahead.
the only other thing, we're not going to schedule a meeting at this time for July 1st, which would be the first Wednesday in July. We're kind of waiting to see if it's necessary to have personnel either sooner or later than that, and we'll schedule it accordingly.
Great. Thank you, Len. We'll move on to policy. BJ.
Yeah. So we actually had a good meeting yesterday. No action taken, no policies reviewed, but we started working on a written to put our policy review process in writing, and also start keeping a log of the policies that we do. So we did a lot of brainstorming around that. Our next, we're not going to do one next month. July 4th, around that time is not the best time. And so we're planning possibly another one in August. So that's kind of where we're at with policy.
Excellent. Thank you. Any questions? Then we'll move on to negotiations. Adrian.
And there is no change. That was fast.
That is very efficient, very efficient. John, buildings and grounds.
We're sort of still in a holding pattern, although I think I'm going to talk to Gary. It might be worthwhile just to have everybody get together maybe in July. It will be July 7th, I think, is the Tuesday. Just as sort of a touch base for where we are with the buildings. But I want to get his input first. I don't want to distract him from anything he needs to do, but I think it might be good for all of us to get together at least once during a week. But stay tuned, more to come.
Okay, great. Thank you, John.
Annie, can I interrupt
Yeah.
for a second?
Sure.
Can everyone please put their computers on mute? Because there's a lot of feedback and I'm having trouble understanding. You can put it back on when you have to say something.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Then we will move on to Maria, community engagement.
Hi. So we have the community engagement plan, and now you've had it for a while. And I would like to make a motion that the board accept the plan and we move forward with it for the 2021 school year.
Okay. Is there a second to that? Amy seconds. Thank you. Any discussion? Questions, comments? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the community engagement, okay, you're quick. I was just like, is that a question? Community engagement plan, please say aye. Raise your hands, thumbs up. Excellent. Anyone opposed? Good, unanimous. I really like this unanimous thing. This works well for me. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm not done yet. Quite.
Nope, go ahead.
One more thing. Thanks. We have a meeting planned for this Friday at 3:00 to talk about how that's going to start off and to look at any adjustments we need to make in terms of keeping everybody at a safe proximity from each other.
Excellent. Thank you. And now we move on to finance. Andy.
Good evening. The numbers, as always, payroll for this one's dated May 22nd, 2020, $418,451.35. Second payroll is dated June 1st, 2020, $4,522.67. The total of these payrolls is $422,974.02. On to pay orders. I have a pay order dated June 2nd, 2020. From the general fund, $59,417.08. From the Sedgren Scholarship, $100. Total of $59,517.08. Pay order dated June 3rd, 2020. From the general fund, $4,768.89. That is the only one dated for June 3rd. I move that the payroll and pay orders be approved as read.
Second.
Thank you, George. Discussion?
I didn't get a chance to do my duty as yet today. I just barely started the computer about 2 minutes before we started. So I will do that this evening or tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a quick little look. Nothing really major. It was more impressive the 7 pages of salaries that we paid for. That's a chunk of money. That really is. So everything else seems to be fine.
Great. Thank you. Any other questions or discussions? Okay. All those in favor of approving the pay orders and payroll as read, please raise your thumb and say aye. Okay. Anyone opposed? Hearing none. They're approved unanimously. Thank you.
All right, Tam, I have a quick review of the finances. There we go. As we just voted to approved by the board that the district increasing its line of credit to $3.6 million for the forthcoming year, this should provide the district with sufficient cash flow. The state will be making payments to the school district in mid-August for special education and make another payment in late October for general education. At this time, we do not know if the state will be funding these payments at 100%. The governor has proposed the legislature pass what he is calling a skinny budget or a reduced budget, which will be for the months of July, August, and September. Under his plan, the legislature will reconvene in late August to approve a budget for October through June. By waiting until August, the governor hopes the state will have a clearer picture of what can be expected for tax revenues for the remainder of the fiscal year and approve a budget which will reflect this. As I've said the past several board meetings, there remains 2 significant unknowns. 1, we do not know if the state will fund school districts in full. 2, the legislature and governor are waiting on Congress and the president to see if another aid package will be approved for the states. The political messages from Washington are very mixed on this. We really don't know what's going to come of it. And so we wait. With our good cash flow, no summer projects of significant cost, and with the month of July being one of minimal expenses, the district has some time to wait for further developments. And at this time, we are not discussing cost cutting. The Finance Committee will meet remotely on Monday, June 15th at 4:30 to review year-end expenses and discuss any further information coming from Montpelier or Washington. And that's where it all stands right now. Stay tuned for more.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Oh, and I sent you an email of those of that, so you don't have to have taken vigorous notes.
I received it, thank you, and I took no notes.
Great, there we go.
Okay, any questions, comments, discussion? Okay, hearing none, that covered the financial update then too. So we move on to George's favorite part of the program, any other legal business that we have to transact. You're muted, George.
Probably just as well. I might have had a bad joke. Anyways, I want to encourage us all to keep working on this and to stay well and healthy.
Okay, John.
Yeah, first I wanted to just say a word of thanks to the administration for the equity statement that just went out. Just so you know, scuttlebutt on Facebook is that was one of the better ones that came out. More inclusive, more succinct and specific in terms of calling out the racism that's going on in the world right now. I think that, says a lot about our district. I also wanted to just be the same voice that I've always been, which is to make sure that we don't think that this is the end of the work. This is just the beginning. We have to follow up our words with actions, and I hope that we can do a lot of work during this time, that when school is not in session, once maybe folks are allowed back in the building again, to review our classrooms and our libraries, to make sure that people of color are well represented in all of our areas, take a look at how people are represented in our curriculum as well. So thank you for the work that has been done, and I look forward to the work that's coming as well.
Thank you, John. Yes. Anyone else? Any other legal business? Agenda building. Oh,
Well,
Doug.
Christian,
Go ahead.
thanks to the governor, it's dropped down from a maximum of 10 to a maximum of 25. Are we in a position to think about going back to our regular meeting times, done at the high school, only maybe through the gymnasium, something like that? We can actually make space open for us.
Dave, I defer.
I would advise very strongly against that because current model is working. Schools are shut down. We're planning on our buildings being fully shut down during the month of July altogether. And I'd recommend we stick with what we're doing for now until we get a sense on what the fall is going to look like. But you are the board, and I just give you advice when you choose to have me do so.
Personally, I'm good with staying the way we are. I'll get you Adrian and John in 1 second, just because I live with someone who has got, a compromised immune system. So for me, staying as far away as I can from other people for the interim would be very good. Not that I don't like all of you and don't look forward to being in personal space with you again. But so go ahead, Adrian.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. My, 80-plus-year-old parents live next door. I'm not going out to a meeting with 10, 12, 15 people.
Yeah. John.
Speaking as someone who supervises the folks who have to clean before and after those things, I can tell you I would much rather not put an additional cleaning burden on those folks. I'm sure that they are already quite fed up with the amount of cleaning they're having to do. One of them actually works for me too. So I haven't seen him in a very long time because he works second shift, and I haven't crossed paths with those folks in a little over a month now. But it would put an additional cleaning burden on them. I'm also one that's my physical presence is allowing my 81-year-old father to stay in his home, and the longer I can stay healthy and stay out of this mess, the better for him as well. So I'm all in favor of continuing the remote meetings for as long as necessary.
Okay. All right, George.
Yes, I'm trying to figure out who I can invite to my 80th birthday party here.
To that I would go. At least
How
I
about other
drive by.
80-year-olds, George?
What's that?
How about other 80-year-olds? You're all in the same boat together.
Pretty good idea.
Okay. Agenda building. We are not meeting on July. Am I correct? We're not meeting that first meeting, or are we meeting?
So
I
we
don't-
historically have not met
That's-
at the first meeting in July. We've actually historically taken July off and kind of reconvened in early August. You know, we're in weird times now, so we could adjust that however you like. Couple of the conversations I've had, like Len with personnel, you know, we just said with some of the ongoing needs, what if we just play it by ear? If we need to pull a group together, let's do it. But our next scheduled meeting would be the 17th of June. So that still gives us one more here in the month of June. And then
Okay.
then we could take a couple off if the board so chose.
Okay. All right. So for our next meeting in 2 weeks, what will we be looking at as far as agenda? We'll have no policies. We have finance update again from Andy and the finance committee. Dave, what else?
I'll have a big report to work through with you folks, a proposal for reopening. So that'll take a decent chunk of time.
Okay. So is there anything anyone else needs to add? Otherwise, I think we should just keep it at that so we can have a very, intense discussion about that if we need to.
We also,
Yeah, I don't. Go ahead, Adrian.
could we have a sort of an update on how things went and whether we have a feel on how the kids did? Sort of a closing statement.
Yeah,
Well, that
Adrian,
would
you're
be good.
referring to like on this school year, just
Yeah.
Yes.
wrapping things up. Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. That'd be good.
And-
And Stan, you had indicated, is there something that you need us to look at?
Yeah,
Len, can you please mute? Sorry,
Oh,
I can't hear.
Can we mute again, everybody? Except for Stan for right now. Go ahead, Stan.
we will need to set our meal pricing for next year. And
Okay.
and hopefully we will have a recommendation for a food service vendor for next year.
Okay. All right. We'll add that to that then also. Good. Anybody else? I think that that's a pretty full agenda for us. So if there's nothing else that's pressing, okay. So we've come to the end. So adjournment by consensus, thumbs up, folks, if you want to adjourn. Thank you all very much. Have a good night. Take care. Be well.